The Banu Hilal were a large and powerful confederation of Bedouin Arab tribes. They originally lived in the Hejaz and Najd regions of the Arabian Peninsula. For centuries they roamed these arid lands, living a nomadic lifestyle centered around herding camels and sheep. Their society was organized along tribal lines with strong loyalties to their clans and leaders. They were known for their martial skills, their rich oral poetry, and, their fierce independence. In the pre-Islamic era and the early centuries of Islam, they were one of many such groups that shaped the social and political landscape of Central Arabia, often engaging in raids and alliances that shifted like the desert sands. Their story is more than just the tale of a single tribe. It represents a major demographic and cultural movement in the medieval Islamic world. The Banu Hilal were not part of the first wave of Arab conquests that established the early caliphates. Instead, their most significant chapter began much later, in the 11th century. Their journey would take them far from their ancestral homelands, across vast distances, and into new territories that they would forever change. This migration is one of the most remarkable episodes in the long history of Arab peoples, a testament to their resilience and adaptability in the face of political turmoil and environmental pressures. The name Banu Hilal means sons of the crescent moon. This poetic name hints at their deep roots in the ancient cultures of Arabia. Their history before the Great Migration is recorded in epic poems and stories passed down through generations. These tales, known collectively as the Taghribat Bani Hilal or the Hilalian Migration Epic, form one of the most important works of Arabic folk literature. This epic tradition casts the tribe as heroic figures, celebrating their courage, their leaders, and their dramatic journey. It provides a cultural lens through which we can understand not only their history, but also how they were perceived by others. Before their famous migration, the Banu Hilal were a restless presence in the heartlands of the Islamic Empire. During the time of the Abbasid Caliphate centered in Baghdad, their large numbers and nomadic habits were often a source of instability. They frequently clashed with settled populations and challenged the authority of regional governors. The central government struggled to control them, sometimes paying them subsidies to keep the peace and other times launching punitive expeditions against them. This tense relationship between the nomadic tribes of the interior and the settled, urban-based powers of the caliphate set the stage for the dramatic events that were to follow in the centuries ahead. The great journey of the Banu Hilal began in the 11th century. It was not a single, organized march but a massive wave of migration that unfolded over several decades. Their path led them out of the Arabian Peninsula, northwards into the lands of the Levant, which includes what we now call Syria, Jordan, and Palestine. From there, they moved west into Egypt. For a time they settled in the eastern provinces of the Nile Delta, where the Fatimid Caliphate, then ruling from Cairo, struggled to manage their large and honestly unruly numbers. The lush, fertile lands of Egypt were a stark contrast to the harsh deserts they had left behind, but their presence created new challenges for the ruling dynasty. The most famous and impactful stage of their migration was the push from Egypt into North Africa, a region then known as the Maghreb. This westward movement was not a simple choice but was actively encouraged by the Fatimid rulers in Cairo. The Fatimids were facing a political problem. Their Zirid vassals, who governed the region of Afriqiya, which is modern Tunisia, had declared their independence and shifted their allegiance to the rival Abbasid Caliphate in Baghdad. The Fatimids saw the Banu Hilal as a powerful, albeit unpredictable tool to punish the rebellious Zirids and destabilize their rule. This decision would have profound and lasting consequences for the entire region. The Hilalian tribes, along with other associated groups like the Banu Sulaim, crossed into Afriqiya around the year 1051. They moved as a flood, not a disciplined army, bringing their families, their herds, and their nomadic way of life with them. They were skilled warriors, and the established Zirid forces found it difficult to counter their guerrilla-style tactics and overwhelming numbers. They swept across the coastal plains, defeating the Zirid army in key battles such as the Battle of Hadaran in 1052. This victory shattered the Zirid's authority and opened up the heartlands of Afriqiya to the newcomers. Their journey did not stop in Tunisia. Over the following decades and centuries, various clans of the Banu Hilal continued to push westward. They spread across the central Maghreb, into the territories of modern-day Algeria, and eventually reached the far western lands of Morocco. They settled in the high plains and semi-arid regions that were suitable for their pastoral lifestyle. This gradual but relentless expansion completely redrew the demographic and political map of North Africa. They established new tribal territories and forged alliances, becoming a dominant force in the rural interior of the Maghreb for centuries to come. The primary reason for the Banu Hilal's migration was a complex mix of political and environmental factors. In their original homeland in Arabia, a period of prolonged drought and political instability had made their traditional way of life increasingly difficult. The central authority of the Abbasid Caliphate was weak, leading to more frequent tribal conflicts over scarce resources like water and grazing land. These pressures created a powerful push factor, encouraging large segments of the tribe to seek better fortunes elsewhere. The lands to the north, in the Levant and Egypt, seemed to offer more opportunities for survival and prosperity, initiating the first stage of their long westward journey. Politics played a crucial role, especially in their move from Egypt to the Maghreb. The Fatimid Caliph al-Mustansir Billah and his vizier, al-Yazuri, made a calculated decision to unleash the tribes upon their rebellious Zirid vassals. This was a classic example of using a human weapon to solve a political problem. The Fatimids offered the Hilalian chiefs titles and the right to plunder the lands of Ifriqiya. For the Banu Hilal, who were feeling constrained in Egypt, this was an irresistible offer. It gave them a legitimate reason to invade and a promise of immense wealth and new territories to call their own, transforming a migration into a full-scale invasion. The weakness of the existing states in North Africa was another key factor. The Zirid dynasty, which had once been a formidable power, was in a state of decline. Their rule was mostly confined to the coastal cities, and they had little control over the Berber tribes of the interior. Their armies were accustomed to fighting conventional battles, not the fluid hit-and-run warfare perfected by the Bedouin horsemen. The political fragmentation of the region meant there was no unified front to oppose the Hilalian advance. The tribes were able to exploit local rivalries, picking off one town or region at a time, until Zirid authority outside their capital had effectively collapsed. Furthermore, the environment of the Maghreb itself facilitated their settlement. While the Hilalians are often blamed for causing widespread desertification, it is more accurate to say they were drawn to regions that suited their existing lifestyle. They settled primarily in the vast steppe lands and high plateaus of the interior, which were less suitable for the settled agriculture practiced in the coastal plains, but ideal for pastoral nomadism. These areas were already sparsely populated or inhabited by other nomadic Berber groups. The arrival of the Banu Hilal did not so much destroy an existing agricultural system as it did replace one form of pastoralism with another, albeit on a much larger and more impactful scale. The arrival of the Banu Hilal had a profound and lasting cultural impact, most notably on the language of North Africa. Before their migration, the primary languages spoken in the rural areas of the Maghreb were various Berber dialects. While Arabic was the language of religion, government, and the cities, it had not deeply penetrated the countryside. The Hilalians, arriving in massive numbers, brought their distinct dialects of Bedouin Arabic with them. Over centuries, this led to a widespread process of Arabization. Many Berber communities gradually adopted Arabic, and the Hilalian dialects became the foundation for the modern forms of Arabic spoken in the rural areas of Libya, Tunisia, Algeria, and Morocco today. Socially and demographically, the migration transformed the ethnic landscape of the Maghreb. The Banu Hilal did not simply conquer and leave, they settled, intermarried with local Berber populations, and integrated themselves into the social fabric of the region. This created a new Arab-Berber cultural synthesis. Many tribes in North Africa today, whether they speak Arabic or Berber, trace their lineage back to the Banu Hilal. This shared ancestry became a crucial part of the region's identity, blurring the lines between the original inhabitants and the newcomers, and contributing to the complex tapestry of modern North African societies. The Hilalian invasion also had a significant economic and political impact. Their arrival is traditionally associated with a decline in urban life and settled agriculture in the coastal plains of Ifriqiya. Historians argue that their pastoral activities and political instability disrupted the long-standing agricultural economy, leading to a shift from farming to pastoralism in many areas. Politically, they introduced a new and lasting element of tribal power into the Maghreb. For centuries, subsequent dynasties like the Almohads and Marinids had to contend with the powerful Hilalian tribes, sometimes fighting them, and other times allying with them to secure their rule. In conclusion, the journey of the Banu Hilal is a pivotal story in the history of the medieval Islamic world. It was more than just a military conquest, it was a major demographic shift that reshaped the Maghreb forever. From their origins in Arabia to their final settlement across North Africa, their migration was driven by a search for new lands and prompted by the political machinations of distant empires. Their legacy is complex, marked by both disruption and creation. They are remembered as catalysts of a profound cultural Arabization, and as the ancestors of millions. Their story immortalized in epic poetry and woven into the very identity of North Africa.